Hey guys, welcome to Pajama Let's Play. I'm Michelle, host of Pajama Let's Play, where we talk all things Kingdom Hearts. Today, I'm going to discuss whether or not Ephemer followed in the footsteps of Player and reincarnated into one of our main characters. But before we get into all that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can check out my Patreon or leave a tip via PayPal. All those things are in the description box down below. As always, there will be spoilers, so heads up there. This theory was actually suggested by my subscribers, Khan and Nick. They suggested that Ephemer reincarnated into Sora, and I was intrigued, so I decided to cover it. If you have a theory you'd like me to cover, here is my email address, also linked in the description, and you're welcome to send them on over. Let's go over what we know about Ephemer's journey after Union Cross. We know he used a lifeboat and landed in a destroyed Daybreak Town, and I'm assuming it was right after the world was destroyed. We also know that he built a Victorian/Gothic version of Scala, and the next time we see him for sure is in Kingdom Hearts 3 when he comes in to aid Sora with an army of dandelions. Not a lot to go on, but we did see, presumably, Scold with baby Xehanort, handing him over to the person in the cloak. You should check out the video linked here by the Gummy Phone. He goes into his theory about two different versions of Scala and that he believes Ephemer wanted to create some paradoxes. According to Gummy Phone, Ephemer has the Book of Prophecies, but cannot defy any prophecies he's read about himself. So the man in the blue cloak would have been sent to Destiny Island with baby Xehanort to create those paradoxes. I agree with him that the man in the cloak is likely either Ephemer or the Master of Masters. It does make sense because Ava and Brain wanted to defy the Book of Prophecies, and with Ephemer's inquisitive nature, it makes sense he would want to avoid some of the things we can assume he read. I also agree that the person in the blue cloak could be the Master of Masters, but for the sake of this theory, we'll assume it's actually Ephemer. Before I continue, I'd like to discuss the concept of soulmates. I'm pretty sure I covered this when the finale first came out, but just to recap. In the metaphysical community, soulmates are groups of souls that travel together through various lifetimes to help each other learn lessons and trigger experiences. These are often familial and platonic relationships, though they can also fulfill romantic partnerships. I believe Ephemer, Scold, and Player are a trio as well as soulmates. We know Player reincarnated as Xehanort, who was either born to Scold or was taken to the person in the cloak by her. Since that's 2 out of 3, it adds to the theory that the person in the blue cloak is Ephemer to complete the trio and soulmate group. If that is indeed Scold, that also means the mechanic of reincarnation follows the real world rules where time isn't linear, so they can be born at any time in any place as long as none of their current incarnations interact with one another. Anyway, back to theory crafting. Again, for the sake of this theory, we're going to assume that Scold gave birth to Xehanort and gave him to Ephemer in the blue cloak to be taken to Destiny Islands. Here's why that makes sense given Gummy Phone's points. Ephemer probably read through the Book of Prophecies and would have seen Xehanort's path. When he meets baby Xehanort, he either wanted to create paradoxes, encourage the Darkseeker path, or keep him isolated to minimize corruption, so he would raise Xehanort himself. Bringing in the point about soulmates, who would Scold trust with her child, or any child for that matter if she's not the mother, more than Ephemer? The person in the cloak must be someone she trusts completely, since she will never see that child again. So we can assume Ephemer took baby Xehanort to Destiny Islands, I believe to minimize corruption, and try to prevent him from being the Seeker of Darkness. We see the person in the cloak pass away right before Xehanort is met by his future self. So now we bring it back to the original question. Did Ephemer reincarnate just as Player did? My feeling is yes, absolutely. We do see him in Kingdom Hearts 3, but he's young and straight out of Union Cross based on his depiction and back cover, because the two versions of Ephemer look to be the same age. It seems more likely to me that around the time of the Union Cross finale, Ephemer travels to the future with the dandelions, because their hearts still exist then, even if it's just in Keyblade form. At the end of the finale, most of them chose to become spirit/dream eaters, so it would have to happen before the Date Escape fell completely. There are other explanations, of course, but this one makes the most sense to me based on already established mechanics in the series. So who would Ephemer have reincarnated as? I see a couple of options here. Could it be Sora? Well, if we factor in the real world rules for reincarnation and soulmates, I don't think so. he interacts with Sora directly, which breaks the cardinal rule of multiple incarnations of a soul existing at the same time. If the two interact, it would create a paradox. Though, granted, that would add an extra layer to Gummyphone's theory. I could see Ephemer becoming the Master of Masters, though. We know both of them have the ability to travel through time, and it's certainly possible that the Master of Masters knows to create the Book of Prophecies because he had a copy of one as Ephemer. He may have gone through the entire journey, go back in time, and try to prevent each Keyblade War that happens. However, if Ephemer did reincarnate, I believe he did so as Riku. For one, the hair matches, and that's often a hint that they would be connected somehow. Bringing in the concept of soulmates, very few people are as close to Xehanort as Riku. Of course, he has Ericus, Breg, and Ventus all as major players in his path, but Ephemer existed at the same time as all of them except for Ericus. Honestly, Ericus is my second choice, but he was born around the same time as Xehanort, so Ephemer was likely still alive when Ericus was born. Riku, though, is not only taken as a vessel for Ansem's Seeker of Darkness, but is also able to hold him within his heart without fully falling to darkness. I think it stands to reason that Ephemer's experience strengthened his heart enough to go through Riku's experience as well as he did. He learned how to use the darkness, again, without falling to it. He's physically close to Xehanort, starting in Kingdom Hearts 1, and Riku was born long after the person in the cloak had perished. It fits the timeline, the soul connection, and continues the lessons Ephemer was learning throughout Union Cross about free will, the nature of darkness, the power of friendship, and the fights that are worth taking up. But what do you think? Did Ephemer reincarnate as anyone? If so, who do you think it is? Where would Skuld be according to this theory? Tell me all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you have a theory that you'd like me to cover, here's my email address, and you can just send them on over. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can check out my Patreon or leave a tip via PayPal. All of those things are in the description box down below. Until next time.